multi-talented cast can really shine here even if the movie doesn't know who to focus on. And finally, Storks may not have the best writing, but it still passes as an enjoyable cartoon.
How to Train Your Dragon is pretty much the avatar of DreamWorks animation. We all have heard of the story before, but the animation is just amazing and even beautiful. What the critics have given the film, however, I think it's a bit over-exaggerated. I'm not saying that the film is bad, in fact, I think it's actually pretty good, but I wouldn't put this film almost 100%. As for the 3D thing, you should save your money and go with 2D. There's like no difference at all. Great job with the animation, DreamWorks. Just work a little harder on the story, okay?
Winnie the Pooh is definitely the most charming film I've seen this year. Sure, the plot is weaker than a twig and there's nothing new in the 100-Acre Woods, but it does have great hand-drawn animation, memorable songs, its own charm, and has a good moral. Now, there are only two kinds of people that I could think of that will love this film: toddlers and those who have very fond memories of Pooh in their childhood. The rest might find that it doesn't have much to offer. And if you guys want to know, I'm one of the rest. I have seen the shorts and the animated series during my childhood, but it's not what sticks out the most when I think of my favorite things in my young years. A little word to my Pooh fans: please don't argue with my rating. Just consider it as a view from a non-Pooh freak. Wait, that doesn't sound right. Legend of the Guardians is a lot like How to Train Your Dragon on how the films have performed. They both have a pretty generic story and mixed characters, but they both have amazing animation. But the one who did it better is Legend of the Guardians by a bit. Like, the story, animation, and characters are a bit better than the other movie. I have to say that this is a movie I could recommend for those who like more what they see on screen than what it's trying to tell us, like Avatar, because this is truly amazing to look at. The Good Dinosaur. Since this year was marked as the first time ever that Pixar gave us two films, the second feature release ended up being one of their most heartfelt. Well, at least in terms of the whole movie, that's not counting the individual scenes. The Good Dinosaur manages to bring out something strong with some beautiful animation, memorable characters, and the emotional friendship between Arlo and Spot. Sadly, in terms of its production troubles and how it came out, it ended up becoming almost identical to Brave, where it ended up with some problems. While the bond between the main characters is strong, the writing is not, due to how the story is completely straightforward and predictable, and when you take Spot out of the equation, Arlo is easily one of Pixar's weakest protagonists. That and the cartoony character design does not fit the movie at all in terms of the film's more serious tone and hyper-realistic backgrounds. As the title applies, The Good Dinosaur is simply good. Not Pixar good, but just good. Ralph Breaks the Internet. Among all the animation studios out there, Disney would be the one that would be recognized the least in terms of delivering sequels to their movies. And no, those direct-to-video films don't count. However, when they do make one, they make sure that their follow-up would not only serve a purpose, but to also make it great. And that is exactly what happened when the crew brought back Wreck-It Ralph. This time around, the movie would bring Ralph and Vanellope to a pretty accurate portrayal of the internet, where the animation is an amazing achievement by presenting a vast variety of art styles wherever they go. But as they try to find a steering wheel on eBay, they end up learning more about their friendship. Now yeah, I know that sounds stupidly cliched even for Disney, but that would be the movie's core that would make the film strong both on its own and as a Wreck-It Ralph sequel. It would become this thought-provoking tale about the toxicity of dependence and to not be too clingy to your friends, which allows it to craft both Ralph and Vanellope to become more deep characters than they were in the predecessor. It is true that, like the internet itself, it's not all perfect, especially when it starts off pretty weak at first and all the secondary characters barely have enough screen time to really make an impact. But thankfully, it would keep gaining momentum as the film would progress, and would reach extraordinary levels once it gets to the climax. Regardless of the argument if this is either better or worse than the first, it will always be remembered as Disney's viral sensation.
Well, why didn't you tell me I was in the presence of a genius?
The Lego Movie. This film was released during the beginning of February, and it already set itself as one of the biggest films of the year. And with good reason. The amount of creativity that went into this film can almost be put in the same lines as Toy Story. The story of Emmett and the Master Builders is engagingly original, the characters are both hilarious and lovable, whether they be made for the movie or characters that already exist, and great computer animation that makes the film look like it was made out of 100% stop-motion Legos. Although, admittedly, as crazy popular as it got, this wouldn't be considered a perfect movie. As creative and original the story is, it does have an issue with its structure. Everything is so fast-paced that it doesn't give itself any time to give the story or characters any development. The idea is definitely there, but it could have been executed a little better. It's obvious what the Lego Movie really is. It's dumb, it's goofy, it's over the top, it's a big Lego commercial, and that's exactly why everything about it is awesome. The Book of Life. Last time, Real Effects made a bad first impression when it released Free Birds, a Thanksgiving movie that made audiences anything but thankful when they watched it. But now we understand why that movie sucked. It was all because all the energy in the studio was put into this film instead. The Book of Life presented a passionate love story that's filled with beautifully detailed animation and a large cast of fun and memorable characters, all of which devoted to the theme of the Mexican holiday, Dia de los Muertos. It is true though that there might not have been a lot of thought into the concept, like the story and some of the characters sound generic, and it does fill itself with a lot of cliches. But thankfully, the movie manages to execute it the best that it can. It's probably a safe bet to say that you won't find a better Day of the Dead movie anywhere else.
Love will truly live.
Missing Link. Among all the animated films of the year, Missing Link is easily the most underrated and the most unfortunate that not many people saw it. Seriously, what else could have been on at the time that people would rather want to watch on the big screen instead of Missing Link?
Avengers! Assemble.
Oh yeah. But honestly, that's their loss because this movie has a lot of great value. As a movie created by Laika, you can always expect the grand and beautifully done stop-motion animation that transports viewers into these beautiful landscapes and engaging action scenes, but it also carries a lot of heart as the movie evolves from being this epic world-traveling adventure to the bond between an investigator and his new friend who is also a Sasquatch. Some may argue that the story may not be as strong as the studio's other works, but thankfully, it does provide some strong execution and great voice acting to help audiences get into the adventure and to easily warm up to the characters with their colorful personalities. Sure, it's sad that it was a total flop, especially for stop motion, but that doesn't mean doom for the art form. Luckily, streaming services like Netflix is shaping up to be the new home of animation mediums outside of CGI, so stop motion will not only be alive and well, but thriving in there. And who knows, maybe Missing Link will have a new home there and become a newfound cult favorite. But for now, if people ever decide to see the film for themselves, they'll be in for quite a discovery.
Yes, that's correct.
It suits you.